Welcome. Welcome to the What the Futures podcast, season 1, episode 1. This is it, folks. First one ever recorded. If you think about it, probably the first episode is probably the least listened to episode. I would think if I plan on doing hundreds or even thousands of episodes over the next number of years, I would assume this one probably doesn't get listened to a whole bunch. But anyways, I'm here to introduce the podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Denis. Excited to be here. Long time coming. We've been talking about this since the summer. And finally, we're here. I'm recording on November 1st. And, studio, still a work in progress. Still having a lot of fun getting things to a better spot as well. And you'll see that over the next number of weeks and months here. We'll have more changes and updates as we get going. So again, welcome to the show. I'm excited to be here. I'm going to give you a quick cheers. Again, recording the night of November 1st and celebrating that we are getting this thing off the ground. So cheers if you've got one on the go. All right. So today's episode, we're not going to get into the nitty gritty here right off the hop. We're just going to talk about what to expect from the podcast over the next episodes here and next weeks and months. I'm a farm kid. Again, I'm from Dormy, Saskatchewan. My dad and brother farm just over 10,000 acres there, and I have a typical like farm kid story. I shouldn't say kid. I'm 38 years old, but you know what I mean. We had pigs and cows, and Grandpa milked the cow when we were young, and we had chickens, and I had to sell eggs to get money to buy my first dirt bike. First tractor I drove was a 4020. Driving a half ton well before the age of 16, like many listening. Remember the first field of canola that I cut, as maybe like 13 or something, and driving the swather. So typical story growing up in rural Saskatchewan, and just had a great upbringing with my folks there. And I live right now just outside of Edmonton, Alberta. I've been here since 2007. My wife Chantel, we weren't married at the time, but she wanted to transfer from U of S to Grant MacEwan, and she asked me if I was interested in making a move, and I said sure, let's go for it. So we moved to Edmonton. I'm a big Oilers fan. Right, I've got Ryan Smith on the wall up here. I've got actually the town of Dormy right behind me as well. That's new coming in, those fancy pictures. But so we made the move, and it started our journey here in Alberta. I worked for the local John Deere dealership for a little bit, just over a year. Had fun doing that, but was looking for more, and had a chance to go and be a grain buyer with Viterra. We're talking 2009 at that time. Had a lot of fun buying grain, back in the Canadian Wheat Board days, right? I remember filling out permit books and quotas and initial price and all that good stuff, right? So I did that for a couple of years. And then in 2011, I got recruited to come over to the grain marketing side of the business, and started working with farmers as an advisor with Cargill. So I did that for 4 years. Had a great time. Worked with over 30 growers in Northeast Alberta, and really enjoyed it. Enjoyed it so much that I started my own company called Full Acre Consulting. Went out on my own and grew that over 4 years to work with over 100 farms. Hired admin support, hired another advisor to join me, and we were cruising right along in 2017, 18, 19. Consulting for 500,000 acres roughly. And my wife's an academic, and so we kind of live in, and she's in history and native studies and all that good stuff, and so our professional careers are in different, different areas, we could say. And we'd go to staff barbecue or whatever it was, and I would people would ask me, "What do you do for work?" And I just respond, I have coffee with farmers." And they'd kind of give me like a sideways look, like, "Coffee with farmers? Like, what do you do?" And um, I would kind of joke about it because I go to a farm, for years and years and years, sit down, review a crop marketing plan, and help give advice on what to sell that crop. Go over cost of production, return on investment, margins, crop input decisions, land rent decisions, capital purchase decisions. Did all that, and I'd kind of joke that I'd drink coffee with farmers because I drank a lot of coffee at a lot of kitchen tables, and it was great. Um, yeah, if I like think about it though in bigger detail, at some point I was probably responsible for helping farmers sell about, I don't know, $250 million worth of grain, $300 million worth of grain, something like that. And 500,000 acres times, that number would be a lot bigger now, with where commodity prices are. But trying to turn that, 300 million into 330 million or 350 million or whatever it was, trying to maximize the marketing opportunities. And that's what I got to do for over a decade, and everything that, revolves around that. And so yeah, so I sold my little company to Farmers Business Network, and I led their team of advisors for 3 years. Led the U.S. team a little bit as well there, and just kind of wrapped up my contract in the summer of 22, and just paused. Our son was born here in January, so I got two little ones at home, 3 years old and going on 10 months old, and took a opportunity to just take that leave and step back. So it's been a great year, 2023, and recharged and ready to go. And this summer I was thinking, what could I do? Could I do for a project? And the podcast idea came to mind. Throughout my career, I've done audio updates. I think I started in spring of 2017. I just sat there one day. Pardon me, I just got to take a refresher here. I sat there, just realizing that farmers are extremely busy planting crops, and I wonder if putting an update on an audio would make more sense. And so started doing a couple a day, and that led into probably over 1,000 episodes of audio updates. I'm not going to say they were all great, because they weren't. They were a little bit rough at times, and but I enjoyed doing them, and I got a lot of feedback from growers across the prairies, and a lot of positive feedback. I'd have farmers from all over the place message me about what we had talked about on the audio, and of course, with FBN, we continued that, and we're recording for even more growers. So I missed it. I certainly miss it, and I'm excited to be back here. Um, in the studio, in the shop, I call it. And again, if you ever see this on video, the studio is a work in progress behind me, but it's coming along. It's coming along, not too bad at all. So this is the intro podcast. That's a little bit about me. I could keep talking, but about myself, but that's not going to do us any good. So, um, the inspiration here is, working with all these growers over the years. Um, I used to do the recordings, audios, and I would talk about market news and price moves and thoughts on futures direction, and give advice and recommendations. And I'd often loop in what what I'd learned from growers in conversation, what those hot topics were. And our farmers would call or text in and say, "Hey, can you talk about X?" factor, or talk about this in one of your audios, and so we'd research it and get everyone an update. And it took us down some interesting paths. Took me down some interesting paths. I Some examples could be the green canola discounts from a couple of years ago. I had farmers delivering canola from northern Alberta, southern Manitoba, because the discounts were so much better. They could freight it all that way and be a couple dollars a bushel ahead of what they were getting offered locally. Uh, there wasn't any green canola in southern Manitoba, so there was capacity. Let's think about the falling number issues from a couple of years ago. Falling number, it was a big issue, but not in every area as well. And just talking about the different discount structures that were out there, just bringing clarity around what we were seeing, helped farmers make some decisions around that. We talked about rail transportation updates. We've talked about crop inputs, fertilizer. What are prices doing? What are you being quoted out there? And reality is, we all have our favorite retailer, and service is very important, but prices are a lot different in different areas. And if we can leverage that information, make a decision, maybe it helps out a little bit, helps the farm's bottom line. Crop rankings as well, what to grow next year. We'll have fun with that over the next couple of weeks, couple months. It's a really fun debate, and gets everybody a little bit fired up. So it should be good. So, that's just to name a few. All right. My goal here, my drive for this podcast is just about transparency and community. I believe farmers in Western Canada can make great decisions, especially when they have access to a little bit more information. And so, I might be up here applying the gas pedal or hitting the brakes on certain topics, but you guys are going to do a lot of the steering on what content that I talk about and that we generate here. I want to hear from you, and I want to hear what you guys want us to cover. All right. I spent Well, I listen to a lot of podcasts. I guess a lot of other people do too, the way it's going. But I was searching for podcasts to follow in agriculture, and there's some great ones out there. And I found some covering, news and price direction on major crops, lots of big picture themes, lots about agronomy, lots of market updates, um, lots of policy stuff. It's all great and important. But I certainly hope that this show is just a little bit different than what's out there. And if my past recordings are anything to reference, so that it is going to be a little bit different than what you're currently seeing out there. So it should be a lot of fun. Um, Again, I would work or chat with farmers and get a lot of positive feedback on what was being put out. And so for those that reached out, I thank you, and it certainly gives me confidence to get this up and running again. So why what the futures? In the name. Well, futures is just a play on my past career, and those that have worked with me know that we've had some what the futures moments in some of our learnings on crop marketing decisions in the past. But I also think farming in general, you get those WTF moments at times. And we actually got one the other day chatting with a grower. And he texted me and he texted, what the futures exclamation mark. And it was just in regards to land rent and just conversation around, what's happening with land rent. And, it's a tough one right now. I think margins in 2024 are going to be a little bit skinny, and land rent's going up, and so it's a tough decision to make, and it's causing a couple of what the futures moments out there. So yeah, so we'll have some fun with it. We certainly want to keep it clean and on the rails, but we'll have some fun with it. All right. So schedule. A podcast schedule. Episodes come out aiming for Friday mornings with consistency, bright and early. Um, Fridays have always been a special day for me. Positive Friday is what you're going to hear a lot about on the podcast. It's a great day of the week, and I'll be aiming to put out a lot of content on Positive Friday. I hope that the show can be a little bit uplifting at times for you as well. And when it needs to get serious, it will. Um, but I like to have a lot of fun, and hopefully we can have some fun and bring that to your Friday mornings. Um, Now, just keep in mind the recordings. Some of them will happen, Thursday, and majority will happen Thursday to be issued Friday morning. So just keep in mind prices may have changed, but we'll talk about that on each episode. Um, we're gonna have bonus episodes as well. Those will come out sporadically, and they'll be on specific topics. So, maybe we have a special episode on crop rankings, or maybe there's something to do with urea that we just need to spend 20 or 30 minutes talking about urea. We'll see. But we are going to have some sporadic episodes, special episodes that certainly come out. A general structure, though, it's going to be a combination of myself. I'll cover off a lot of the topics, and I'm also going to bring in my friends. So I might talk about grain prices. I might talk about world headlines and local events or local headlines across the prairies. But I'll also bring in some guests as well, some experts. And for season 1, we have a couple confirmed so far. We have Brett with BAM WX. He's going to be our weather expert, and you'll hear from him actually shortly in the next episode. A little bit of maybe quiet optimism for next spring, we'll say. I've got Chuck Penner with Left Field Commodity Research. He'll talk specialty crops with us. And I've got Ryan from Cows in Control. I have never given advice on how to market cattle, but that is Ryan's forte. And so he's going to be our cow guy. He's going to be our expert in cattle. So I also have rotating guests as well, and we'll dive into them as they join the episodes. Again, excited to bring a variety of content for growers here across Western Canada. So early on episodes, we'll talk about crop inputs, things going on with crop rankings for 2024, and also obviously it's tough going out there from a crop marketing perspective for a lot of folks. Margins in 24, again, I'll be optimistic, but you're going to want to be on the ball, obviously, like always, right? That's kind of a weird thing to say. But 24 could be a bit of a tougher year, and so let's do our best when we get opportunity. Other thing I'd like to mention is just participation, audience, listener participation. Of course, you can hit us up on our social medias, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. But you can also go to the website. There's a couple things you can do to engage with the podcast and engage with the content. Number one, go to the website, send me an email. If you're listening to this and you're like, Ryan, I have your phone number. Well, you can text me too or call me. But you can email us on the website, whatthefuturespodcast.ca. We also have a voicemail button that floats around on the website. You can click that button and from your phone, record a voicemail for me and say, hey, Ryan, what's going on? I enjoy the show, whatever. Or if you don't enjoy the show, you can send that to us too. Pardon me. I have a question this week. What's going to happen with X crop? And I can play that on the podcast and get your answer as well. So you can engage with us using that voicemail button. And I'll talk about actually a potential prize with that in just a second. Last thing is an equipment listing. And I have no idea if this is going to work or not. But obviously, I love talking equipment and farmers love talking equipment. If you have something for sale, you can go to the website, click on the equipment listing button, give us the details, and I'll talk about it on the podcast. I'll actually call you and interview you and interview this piece of equipment that you're selling, and we'll see if there's another farmer out there that wants to buy it. Alrighty. So farmer to farmer transactions, no dealerships. Gonna vet everyone through this. And you never know. I've actually done this a little bit in the past where clients have sold equipment to each other, and it's kind of a win-win. So I don't know if it'll work, but I'm willing to give it a try. All right. That's about all I have for now. I do want to thank one of our early sponsors that has kind of stepped up here and is participating for season one. So that's Pioneer Seed and Corteva, and specifically for the month of November and into December, we have Becky and Jacob Boychuk sponsoring the first month and a little bit here, maybe first 2 months. But if you go to the website and leave a voicemail, um, whoever does that gets their name entered for a bag of canola seed. We're talking about P516L. I hope I'm getting that right. But every month, with the support of Pioneer Seeds and Corteva and the local agencies, again, Becky and Jacob out of Smoky Lake, Alberta, we're going to put anyone that's submitted a question, we're going to put your name in a hat. Somebody there's going to win a bag of canola seed. That's worth like north of $800. That's 10 acres at 50 bushels. That's a pretty significant prize, right? So leave those voicemails, get your name entered to win a bag of canola seed. And we're going to do that every month until Corteva tells me to stop, or Pioneer Seeds tells me to stop. So we'll do that all winter long here, and we'll have a lot of fun with that. So thank you for stepping up nice and early here in season one. So that's it for now, folks. Thank you for tuning in to episode one. Again, we'll get into this a lot more in the next couple of episodes. The website, whatthefuturespodcast.ca. Go submit your email there. We have a contest running here until middle of November. I think it's maybe the 12th. But go to the website, give us your email, name, email information, and get your name entered to win some Milwaukee tools. Prize is worth north of $2,000. Lots of great tools in the package. Again, if you're listening to this on November 6th, I will be in Red Deer on November 9th. We're doing a little bit of a launch party. Troubled Monk Brewery for the afternoon. You do have to reserve your spot. So if you're listening to this, apologies if we're sold out. There was just maybe a dozen tickets left here at recording, but we will be at Troubled Monk, and I'd love to buy you a beer. So come say hi on that day. That's it, folks, for now. Again, I look forward to this journey with you, and we'll have a lot of fun, and hopefully we can make some great decisions here along the way. And take care.